Here in the United States, our roads and highways seem to be dominated by SUVs. They're everywhere you turn. As a matter of fact, there's a brand new one hitting the streets as we speak. It's the brand new 2022 VW Taos. The Taos is VW's very first subcompact SUV. And what's interesting to note is that even though it's about 9 inches shorter than VW's compact SUV, the Tiguan, it still feels surprisingly roomy and comfortable inside, with a decent amount of passenger and cargo carrying capacity. Plus, they've even given it VW's SUV exterior styling, which really helps it fit in nicely in their existing lineup. Let's take a close look at it and see what you think. What do you think? Oh, you want to take an even closer look at it? Well, that's fine, not a problem. But before we do, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for joining us today. And should you feel so inclined, please hit that subscribe icon at the bottom of the screen and join us on a regular basis. And click that notification icon so you'll never miss one of our videos. That would be great. We'd appreciate it and look forward to seeing you too. First off, the Taos uses the Volkswagen Group MQB platform, which in German stands for Modular Korbaukasten, or I hope I didn't mispronounce that too badly, which translated means Modular Transversal Toolkit or Matrix, and is the company's strategy for a shared modular design construction of its transverse, that is front-mounted engines for front-wheel drive vehicles. And it can be modified for all-wheel drive vehicles as well. This allows VW to produce certain components of the engine cradle as well as some other standardized parts that will fit a wide variety of vehicles and provides a tremendous amount of cost savings as well as factory production flexibility. Pretty cool, huh? I read that on Wikipedia. Anyway, the Taos is available with front-wheel drive and VW's 4Motion all-wheel drive with active control like we have here today. And both of these vehicles come with a 1.5-liter TSI, that's turbocharged, stratified, injected, 4-cylinder engine generating 158 horsepower, 184 pound-feet of torque. But what's interesting to note is that the front-wheel drive version comes with an 8-speed automatic transmission, while the all-wheel drive version comes with a 7-speed dual-clutch DSG, that's direct shift gearbox automatic transmission. Now, there are no paddle shifters for the transmissions, but what you do have is a manual sport shift should you so desire. Another slight difference between the front-wheel drive and the all-wheel drive vehicle is they both come with an independent front suspension. But the front-wheel drive gets a torsion beam rear suspension, while the all-wheel drive gets a multi-link rear suspension. Now, what that really means is independent suspension, one wheel hits a bump, the other one maintains relative stability. But the torsion beam suspension, well, a torsion beam is like a spring that's straightened out into a bar. And one side's attached to the frame of the car, one side to the wheel, and it bounces up and down and bring-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding, takes up less space, but still repositions the tire and wheel accordingly. But the multi-link rear suspension, the all-wheel drive, that's all multi-links, and it's very cool. So there, I hope we've learned something today. All right, well, now back to our regularly scheduled review. The standard rim size on the Taos is 17 inches on the base trim level, but you can move up to an 18 and 19 when available. And speaking of trim levels, the Taos comes in the S, SE, and SEL packages. And as far as pricing is concerned, the S starts out at $22,995 plus. The SE, $27,245 plus. And the SEL, top of the line, $31,490 plus. So let's see what you get for your money, shall we? Now, as far as the exterior styling is concerned, the Taos definitely shares design elements with the Atlas as well as the Tiguan, which is great because it gives it a bold but clean and simple design that is really in your face. Translated, look at this front grille, this front fascia right here. It is absolutely well done. You have an abundance of lower honeycomb plastic throughout, but I like the two tones that you really see here accented nicely, especially with the air vents for the front brake systems. as well as the bold VW logo dead center. And on the SEL package, you actually have the light bar that illuminates the VW and really makes it stand out at night. But this looks great because it's a muted black that molds itself and blends itself right into the LED headlights as well as the LED daytime running lights. Now, when you go to the VW, you simply open the hood by hitting this one little release right here, and then it's extremely heavy. But the good news is you have a hood strut, and you'll always see the arrow, so it'll show you exactly where to put the hood strut. Okay, as we mentioned before, you have a 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, and it's transverse mounted, of course, which means it's turned sideways, and that's going to generate 158 horsepower, but 184 pound-feet of torque, which is plenty of get up and go for this subcompact SUV. As you come to the side, you can really appreciate the Taos clean styling from end to end, and I like the badging they have right here on the side. Now, obviously, you have your body cladding extended from the wheel wells, the lower frame, which not only looks nice, but is very practical, extra protection in case you do decide to go off-roading. And up here you have your nicely styled aluminum roof rails. And over here you have your integrated rear spoiler with the third high tail light. And speaking of tail lights, you have your very distinctive LED brake lights back here. You have your SE badging, of course, and you have a fake exhaust outlet. I don't know why they put it there. It looks nice, but not really practical. And back here, you have your release for your rear hatch, and you have 28.1 cubic feet of useful cargo space with the back seat up, and 65.8, I believe, with the back seats down. Now here you can notice we have a couple accessories, roadside assistance kit, in case you needed to give somebody a jump start, some cargo blocks to position back here, even a first aid kit should you need it. And oh, by the way, you can get a tremendous amount of accessories for all the vehicles that we sell at Rosenthal at our ragear.com website. So check it out when you get a chance. Now, you can also appreciate the Volkswagen cargo protection system here, which adds extra protection. Huh? Thank you. And down here you have some additional storage space for some small items along the way, plus your emergency spare tire. It is fully inflated, it costs less, weighs less, takes up less space, and hopefully you never have to use it. And back here you can notice that we have the 60/40 split folding rear seat along with a useful pass-through. The back seats very nicely laid out. You have your sculpted back seats here. A little pocket action here for storage areas, which everybody seems to appreciate. A little tiny shelf here for something, not sure what. Vents for the AC unit, and you have a single USB-C outlet right there. Now, as I mentioned before, you've got your pass-through. This is your cup holder, nice big armrest here. But what's nice is you can access the rear quite easily right through here, in case you forgot something back there. You have room for 3 people, but with this center hump like that, they're gonna have to do the old straddle action here, but it's okay. I like this massive moonroof back here, and the glass panel really gives it a nice airy feeling to it and a little bit of additional headroom. And of course your obligatory side storage areas even here in the armrest. And the two-tone combination really looks nice. Plus you've got your leatherette seating surfaces with a faux Alcantara insert as well, which gives it a nice little touch of luxury. And this is subcompact, so this is roomy for that. All right, well, let's take it for a spin, shall we? All right, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna check out the turning radius of this 2022 VW Taos. And I just do that to somewhat make my cameraman nauseous. It's one of those things. All right, that's a loud turn signal. And I've been looking to see if I can adjust it, and maybe I just haven't looked hard enough, but If you've ever seen those vehicles driving down the road with the turn signal on forever, that's not going to be you. Not driving this. Now I'm looking around. For the first thing I want to figure out is how's the visibility? And the visibility is reasonable all the way around, which is always good to have. Just a little bit of road noise, but that's when I always just turn up the stereo. Then you don't hear anything. I'm going to try that acceleration smoothly this time. A nice gentle pedal going through the 7-speed gears, the DSG. And as I mentioned earlier, you do have a sports shift, so you can go through it and shuffle your way through your gearing. I'm in 2 right now. First I'm in 1, then I'm in 2, then I'm in 3. You know how it works. It's pretty simple. As you come to a stop, you can obviously appreciate your electronic brake force distribution, ta-da, and your quad disc brakes, which is very nice, and it's nice controlled. If you do have the adaptive cruise control, then those controls are up here on your system as well, and you have volume controls for your media here on the steering wheel as well. But what I really like about this steering wheel is the stitching, because it's very intricate and it just feels high quality. And that's nice, because you're holding onto the steering wheel all day long, or you should be. No, don't do that. Now, you do have your auto start stop function, and it works. Luckily, though, I can turn it off with a little push of a button right down here. There's really only 2 buttons surrounding the transmission. You have your auto start stop and, of course, your electronic parking brake. And I do like the fact that the start stop button is dead to your right rather than up on the dash here. So that makes it a little bit more comfortable. Now, you do have an 8-inch cluster for the base model and a 6.5-inch screen, but here you step up to a 10-inch and an 8-inch, 10-inch plus, and an 8-inch screen here. And the digital screen has basically a couple views. I can push this in, which is obviously located on the steering wheel, and I have my speedometer setting. I can push it again. I get an electronic tachometer, should I so desire, with the electronic speedometer to the bottom right. Or I can just go with what I like most, is the electronic speedometer dead center. I just prefer to keep it nice and simple and clean. If I want to get additional information, I can push this button on the steering wheel again, and it goes through your usual, settings. You have your distance and time, average speed, navigation. If you had Navi in this, we're driving in an SE, not the SEL with the navigation, but you can have that. Audio settings, telephone, destination information, compass, all of that in the little screen on your MID, multimedia interface display. Or you could do what I do, and that is I just kick it off. I just don't need it. If I want it on the left-hand side, same thing. I got the same thing. I like to keep it simple and clean. I've got a coolant temperature gauge, my fuel gauge right there. It tells me how far I can estimated drive at this, pace, so that's always nice. The instrumentation, again, flows over electronically to your infotainment system right here, which is pretty simple. Radio, media, vehicle assist system, sound for your stereo, regular settings. You can swipe to the left. You have app connect and all of that good stuff. There's your navigation if you have it. You can set this up. Now, this is Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatible. So all you got to do is take your smartphone. You can either do it with a cord or you could do it without it. I'm keeping my smartphone down here in my smartphone charger center. And then you can get your own navigation system. You have your ventilation system here. And what's interesting about the VW is you don't have your electronic air conditioning and heating controls. Everything is manual down here. So you have a knob to pick AC or heat. You have a knob to twist for your fan speed, as you can hear. I'm going to turn that down. God, it's getting warm in here. And you have a air directional control knob right here. So for those individuals that like that more tactile feeling, that the VW gives it to you with your heating and air conditioning and ventilation system. Pretty cool. Now you do, of course, have your buttons for your AC right here. You can do that, and your defroster system, and you do have heated seats in this particular version. So, in fact, I don't think I need them today, so I'm not going to worry about it. Your stock system is usually just for your wipers and your, headlight system, all this good stuff. If you want to adjust your headlights, they're down here on the left. Turn them on, turn them off, or I'll just leave them on automatic and don't worry about it. But you have a nice sunshade here, so even electronically, you've got plenty of visibility, even though the sun's piling in on me right now. And this is tilted slightly towards the driver, but it's still easily accessible from the passenger side. And you do have your regular, menu settings, and you have your touch for all the systems, media, phone, voice, everything's right there as well. You do have your blind spot detection, backup camera, lane keep assist, and I have it actually set for vibration so that it'll give me a little vibration. You can take that on, put it off. That's up to you. But I like to have as much safety as possible going for me. Cross traffic detection and all of that. They're IQ safety features. And again, you can add them as you move up in trim levels as well, so that's always a plus. You have storage area right here with a little pebbled surface, textured surface for the handle. You could drop some things in. You have your normal side bin, can hold your water bottle. You have your usual cup holders, bottle holders, whatever it is, dead center. And you have in the armrest a little cute, tiny little storage area. And there's your, like I said, your phone storage area. And down here is your 12-volt system as well as 2 USB-Cs in there. So that's convenient, especially since there's only one in the back. As I was talking about storage, you do have a bit of storage here in your glove box as well. Now there is another little storage area here, and if you listen to anyone talk about this vehicle, they always mention there's no textured surface in here to hold items from sliding around like they have in the door areas, etc. So I guess that's one of those things you'll just have to add yourself. And you can accessorize this vehicle, to your heart's content, but this is just simply a pad that you may or may not ever use. It's up to you. It is a kind of a pebbled hard surface, of course, and you have a little bit softer pebbled surface on the side. I love the two-tone interior here, and you do have soft touch material there, but I like the gray. I like the stitching in the seats itself. It's not, I think because of the contrast, it really makes it pretty cool. Now the seats are comfortable. They have a moderate amount of bolstering, but you do have, just like in the back seats, that faux Alcantara to give you a little more grip into it. Now the driver's seat is actually a 10-way adjustable power seat, so that's always nice for the driver. The passenger seat is manual. Go figure, it's that German engineering. You have your standard stereo system, and you can step up, again, when you go to the SEL, to the Beat audio system. So that's an improved, enhanced sound system, and that's something I always appreciate. But we're in the SE, we're in the midline, and that's good, because sometimes people get spoiled when all they ever drive is the top of the line. You miss out on the fact that this is a very affordable vehicle, and it has enough of what you're looking for to keep you happy. One of the things that's nice about having an all-wheel drive system is you actually have drive mode select, and that knob is right here to my right, and I have it right now in just a normal driving mode. But if you decide you want to go in snow mode, you can do that, and I'll demonstrate this when we come to a stop. Here we go. I have flipped to the left. I have my drive mode for the snow, and it gives you a picture. There's nice snow all around. You're just cruising. I'm going to go to the driving mode, and this is kind of cool. You can do it eco settings for max fuel efficiency, normal, sport, or custom with a touch on the screen. Or you could also pick it by flipping the controller, boom, and then clicking down here. So if you're driving down the road and you don't want to take your eyes off the road, you can just push and then figure out what you want. But I'm going to stick it with normal. And the auto start stop. I forgot to take it off, but there's the button right there, electronic parking brake, and your start stop engine's right here. And of course you have your keyless entry and all that good stuff. VW has obviously wanted to jump onto the subcompact SUV market for some time now. I'm betting that the 2022 Taos is going to be a huge hit. If the success of the Atlas and the Tiguan are any indicators, I think that they definitely have a big win on their hands. You ought to check it out for yourself and see how it feels. It might just be the right subcompact SUV for you.